It's now time for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. We go all the way back to March 21st of the year 2024 when the Nashville Preds were in Florida to take on the Panthers. Head coach Andrew Brunette deploys his lines of defensive combinations in the following way. Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist, Zucker, Sissons, and Evangelista, Jankowski, Novak, and Evangelista, and Beauvillier, actually, Sherwood, McCarron, and Smith, Yossi, and Shen, McDonough, and Barry, Del Gaizo, and Carrier are your defensive pairings, and Lankinen gets the start down in South Florida. We are just 19 seconds into the first period when Bobrovsky comes up with a save on Michael McCarron. It's the first shot on goal of the game at 1:01 of the first period. Lankinen comes up with a save on Bennett. It's his first save and touch of the game at the 2:54 mark of the first period. Lankinen comes up with a save on Montour, 3:35. Another save on Verhaeghe at the 4:02 mark of the first period. It's Zucker versus Cousins. 5 minutes each. This actually had nothing to do with the Nashville Preds or this game in particular. These two had a dispute from earlier in the season that they needed to settle, and they did settle at 5 minutes each. We move on. 5:29 of the first period for Hagee's off the box. 2 minutes for hooking. We find our first special team scenario of the game for the Nashville Preds on the power play. Bobrovsky comes with a save on Luke Evangelista, and that would do it. Credit to the penalty killers and also to the Florida Panthers there for their aggressiveness in this scenario. At 8:26 of the first period, Bobrovsky comes with a save on Shen's heavy shot at the 8:56 mark. Bobrovsky comes with a 5-star save on O'Reilly at the back post, sliding across an incredible highlight reel save right here at 10:57 mark. The first period is Bobrovsky coming up with a save on Sherwood. 11:15, another save on O'Reilly at 11:51 of the first period. Lankinen back to work, coming up with a save on Bennett at the 12:40 mark of the first period. Sergei Bobrovsky comes up with a save on Ryan McDonough. Those two have certainly had some battles over the years. The 16:21 mark. Bobrovsky comes with another save on Sherwood here in the first period. And then at the 17:13 mark, we find Bobrovsky coming up with another save on O'Reilly. The two of them were certainly doing battle here in the first period. 17:47 mark of the first, we find our first score breakthrough for the Nashville Predators. Nyquist, his 19th goal of the season, comes as there is a whole cluster around the top of the crease, all hacking, whacking, and jamming away at the loose puck. It is Nyquist who pulls it out and then puts it right back into the net. A lot of rebound jam off of Forsberg's initial shot right here gives the Nashville Predators a 1-0 lead and gives Gus Nyquist his 19th goal of the season. At the 17:50 mark of the first period, it's Smith versus Gadjevich. 5 minutes each right here, our second tilt of the first period. A big takedown at the end of that fight. 18:31 of the first period. Lankinen comes in with a save on Tarasenko at the 19:32 mark of the first period. It's Captain Roman Yossi for the Nashville Predators off to the box. 2 minutes for tripping, giving the Florida Panthers their first power play opportunity. They would only have 28 seconds of the remaining of the period. They would not generate any shots on goal. The first period would come to its conclusion. The Predators out shooting the Florida Panthers 14-5 and leading the game 1-0 after 20 minutes. Carryover of the power play for the Florida Panthers onto the clean sheet of 132, and that's where we pick up the action with Lankinen coming in with a save on Verhaeghe, and then Lankinen would have to come up with a save on Tkachuk. The power play had just expired, so I call it the continuation of the power play. So another big stop right here by Kevin Lankinen. As a matter of fact, he's about to go to work here at the start of the second period. We're at the 2:20 mark now, just after the power play. Lankinen's coming with a save on Stenlund. And at 2:42, Lankinen another save on Cousins, former Nashville Predator. 4:02 mark, Lankinen continues his work, and he comes with a save on Mahara. At the 5-minute mark, it is Bobrovsky coming up with a save on Carey. It's his first touch of the period. So Kevin Lankinen simply dominant for the first 5 minutes of this period. 5:58 mark of the second period is Bobrovsky coming with a save on Zucker. At the 6:21 mark of the second is Ekman Larson off to the box. 2 minutes for hooking Nashville Predators power play back to work, and that's where we find Philip Forsberg with a high redirect of Barry's long shot, putting the puck into the net. His 37th goal of the season. First a discussion, then a review, then the decision that the goal would stand and it would count, and this was the right call. Forsberg's 37th team leading for the Nashville Predators gives the Preds a 2-0 lead at the 7:40 mark of the second period. Bobrovsky coming in with a save on Sherwood. The 8:39 mark of the second, it's Lankinen coming with a save on Forsling, and then at 9:31 another save right there on Forsling. At 11:13 of the second period, it's Lankinen coming up with a save on Cousins. We flip over to the back of the sheet and we continue on with second period action. We're now at the 11:49, just past the halfway point of this game, and Lankinen's coming in with a huge save on Rodriguez from in close range. Lankinen was simply spectacular here in this second period. 12:23 mark of the second. Lankinen comes up with another save on Montour. 13:44. Bobrovsky, a save on Michael McCarron at the 15:09 mark of the second. Bobrovsky comes up with a save on Mark Delgaizo. Delgaizo making a difference in his opportunities here. 16:44. Bobrovsky, another save on Smith's deflection at close range. 17:39. Bobrovsky, another save on Zucker. And at 18:28 of the second period, Lankinen coming up with a save on Lundell. The final 90 seconds would roll by without much action. The Nashville Predators go into the break out shooting the Florida Panthers 28-21 in this game overall. So for the Predators, 14 shots on goal in the first, 14 shots on goal in the second. The Florida Panthers go from 5 shots on goal in the first to 21 overall in the game. So it was a huge second period for Kevin Lankinen, making 16 saves right there in the middle frame. We roll over to the clean sheet, and we find the 53-second mark of the third period is where we'll pick up the action. That's where the captain, Roman Josi, is getting a minor penalty, 2 minutes for cross-checking. Lankinen clocks in, goes to work, comes up with a save on Reinhart, and then Lankinen also comes up with a save on Tkachuk. Impressive job by the Nashville Predators penalty kill in this situation, disallowing the Florida Panthers to get themselves back into this game. At the 2:59 mark of the third period, we find Lankinen coming up with another save on Lundell. At 4:39 of the third period, Bobrovsky comes up with a save on Tommy Novak. Haven't heard his name a whole lot in this game, but there he is, getting a shot on goal at 4:39 and a third. The 5-minute mark of the third period, Lankinen coming with a save on Tkachuk, and there's Verhaeghe following up. That is the Florida Panthers 1-2 punch options, and Lankinen is turning both of them away early here in the third period. 6:08 mark of the third period. Now Lankinen comes up with a save on Reinhart. 6:24 mark. Nashville Predators back onto the power play as Luosterainen picks up a penalty, 2 minutes for slashing. We find Sergei Bobrovsky coming with a save on Tyson Barrie, but that would be it for the Nashville Predators power play. Really unable to get themselves organized and situated. Not a lot of zone time, not a lot of anything on this power play, but the most important thing might be that 2 minutes come off of the clock right here in the third period. We're past the midway point of the third period now, and we're at 10:29. We find Bobrovsky coming with a save on Carey at the 11:49 mark. Bobrovsky back to work, coming up with a save on the captain, Roman Josi. At 12:43 of the third period, we find Lankinen coming up with a save on Luosterainen, and at the 14:19 mark of the third period, it's Philip Forsberg on the score sheet again. This time, his 38th goal of the season, his second goal of the game, and this was some significant net front jam. At first, perhaps some question as to who had actually put the puck in. Did Nyquist get a touch on it? But Philip Forsberg just relentlessly poking, jabbing, and jamming away at the puck finally gets it to go. So Philip Forsberg, his 38th goal of the season, of course, team leading for the Nashville Predators, gives the Preds a 3-0 lead down in South Florida. Highly improbable. 15:22 now of the third period, and it's Lankinen coming up with yet another save on Lundell, and at 17:39, Lankinen comes up with a save on Tkachuk, and that's going to close things out in this game for the Nashville Predators. So 33 shots on goal for the Florida Panthers at the end of the third period. That means Lankinen comes up with 12 more stops here in the third period. 5 stops in the first, 16 stops in the second, 12 more in the third equals a shutout for Kevin Lankinen, securing his 10th victory of the regular season. Nashville Predators finishing with 37 shots on goal. And again, whatever measuring sticks you have left, the Nashville Predators are responding to every single one of them. This was absolutely one of the hardest games left on the schedule for the Nashville Predators, and not only did they go in there and get a victory, but they were pretty dominant in this one. You win 3-0 on the road with your backup goaltender in net. That is a dominant performance. So again, the Nashville Predators go into South Florida and win this game 3-0 out, shooting the Florida Panthers 37-33, and they continue the now franchise record point scoring streak. 16 consecutive games at the end of this one, picking up the 2 points, continuing to put the pressure on the teams in front of them, continuing to put separation on the teams behind them. And while the bench may have been shortened a little bit in the third period, you see that Andrew Brunette is still willing to try to roll all 4 lines, even against the most significant and best competition in the league, even on the road. So it was a tough Eastern Conference interconference affair, but the Nashville Predators come out on top. They split the season series with the Florida Panthers, and that in itself is highly impressive because the Panthers are easily one of the best teams over in the Eastern Conference and certainly looking to make another run like they did last season. That's going to do it for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. Nashville Predators 3, Florida Panthers 0. So much more coming up. Analysis, opinion, box score, and more coming up next on the Renegades of Puck podcast.